Hello guys, sound check, sound check. Can you hear me? Sounds good. Thank you. Loud and clear. I haven't figured out why I'm looking orange yet. So sorry about that. I'm not that orange. No Terrabirds bags. No, we had to disable them and we will re-enable them shortly. GI Toes, thank you for the prime. Thank you very much. 2 months. What happened to Terrabirds bags with this patch? Yeah, like I mentioned, we had to disable them. They were a little bit broken, to my understandings. And we will re-enable them soon again. Orange mobile variant confirmed. Indeed. So yeah, it was a little bit chaotic today with today's patch. There was a lot of important components going in this patch. From, you know, variation of content, but also some back-end network structure, different parts that affects the network and main capacity. As you know, we've been working on main capacity, improvement optimization in large-scale battles, and, you know, overall total capacity a lot. Almost every month we have done steps forward. And we have been approaching the last big component that does a big effect on that performance. And that was ready to go into this patch. But unfortunately, that did create some issues when we hit a few certain 100 players doing certain things. So we had to revert that specific part from the patch, which was a little bit unfortunate. But it's one of those things that also are... We've been very stressful when it comes to the network side of improving and rebuilding parts of that to be able to achieve our goals with a high capacity on a content sized as Myrland. And then when we're happy with that amount, we can obviously move forward additional accounts moving forward. So we're approaching those numbers we're aiming for, but we had to revert one of the big components, sadly, in this patch. So we plan to re-enable those steps for the public test server that we are working towards to set up as well. And obviously, hopefully, the public test server will also help us to identify everything when it comes to network and other issues as well. So we've always been a bit nervous when it comes to network because it's very difficult to test. Even though we have like 50 people on test, it can't really show large scale. And us using bots and stress test tools obviously can only simulate so much, right? So, but as soon as we are finished with that component, happy with the performance, then we can finally move forward and don't have to go back on network optimization work and allow us to fully focus on game development for all the coders, that is. So that's going to be a big, very nice milestone to also reach for us in Starvault. And it will also reduce instability because then it's only game-related content rather than deep core network structures that a lot of different things are connected to in different ways. So it's a very difficult, big challenge. And also since we are a small company, you know, we can't flip a switch and have a few thousand people testing things as we want compared to, you know, the giants. But it seems like we're getting close to that final step, and hopefully we don't have to go back and touching the sensitive network soon, at least. All right, so that's about today's patch. Other than that, Sebastian have been doing a great work in identifying those specific components in a network that seems to give us the problems that we are now back on the older system that allows us to play finally. So we're gonna gather everything we find now. There's a few things that you have pointed out We're not fully sure yet if anything of this is related to the network thing as well. But we're collecting all the data, and then tomorrow we're going to go through this list, and we are planning a hot fix to attend to the most critical things and get that in order as well. And hopefully we will be in a good state for moving forward to the next step, which is also the public test server, and we're approaching the first step of TC testing as well. All right, let's see. Is Farmer Joe okay? He is okay. He's been working hard, but he's okay. He's taking a rest now while we just gather all the data and information if there's anything, and then we'll go back to it tomorrow to continue. So yeah, we're also trying to improve the process when it comes to what goes into the patch. We have different steps: code review, numbers crunching, and so on. And obviously we want to try to refine that system as well to make sure it's as perfect as possible. And hopefully we can align this as also with the public test servers. We can also use that as a, last in the chain component to make sure we deliver something safe and, fully functional and stable. So we are working towards that as well. There was a few numbers that went into this patch that seems to be a little bit off that we're looking at as well. And hopefully we will get that also in a stable position. As I said many times before, we're very careful when it comes to balance. We don't want to run around in circles. We don't want to, there's always many players that will have different opinions on every single component, right? So it's always going to be a challenge to have that in a good spot, and it will also be impossible to have in a perfect state because of every single group, guild, player, in most cases do not agree in a lot of things in the game, which is obviously natural. We know that. But as I said, we also want to secure that process to make sure that we're taking careful step forward. Let me so now when we're getting some people here, I'm just interested to see. I'm going to do a few polls, and if you want to participate, go ahead. When it comes to handle hits, do your vote there, so we can get a little indication there as well, because that was one of those that were a little bit sidetracked. So obviously we want to find a good spot there. We've also been looking at Direwolf, Tower Dog, that was collecting data on. I guess one of the options would be it's too early to tell. Yes. Oh my god, another one. Excite TV, thank you for the subscription. Yo, Henrik and the team, just want to say how grateful I am to be able to play this masterpiece you guys are building. Keep up the hard work. We appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, there's still some missing component for tower shields. As you know, we never plan to allow them on horse bags. We're also looking at passive reduction. We always try to aim for rewarding skills, right? You know, actively skills should always be superior to passive. So that's something we're looking into also. Ulgrim then Pleasant, thank you for the subscription. There's a bug where animals don't respawn until they put in equity. This allows people to grief spawns by leaving them FK in houses. Yes, we are aware of that one, and we haven't changed that due to some network security. However, now obviously, I guess there's a lot more mount options, more animal options. We're adding more spawners, so hopefully that will not be as sensitive anymore. But we are aware of that one, and we are discussing it, how we can also make that in a proper way without digging into some network issues. Why not with these weak spots? We're looking into the daggers. So there's an interesting thing. We have the exact same numbers for daggers in the Mortal 1 as Mortal 2, but the feedback is completely different. And looking at some of the numbers now, I can see that both heavy daggers that have a higher base damage have also quite high weak spots, and in general that should be quite a difference, right? If you do a specific weak spot, quick, nimble dagger that is more successful in weak spots, obviously the baseline damage should not be as high. So we're looking into that as well to see why is there a difference from the first game, still using the same numbers. So yeah, regarding the handle hit, Paul, reduce it to a bit less. So far, 60%. Yeah, I try to be everywhere, right? But that's also impossible for me to be everywhere when it comes to helping, securing everything that we try to oversee. But it seems like a lot of people thought that one was a bit too much, and indeed the numbers seems to be a little bit high when I'm looking at them as well. Stop nerfing shit, buff things instead. So that is our general rule, right? We try to deliver something underperformed rather than overpowered, and then over time when we see when people have tried it, figure things out, and if they're still not using those components, that's when we plan to carefully buff them over time. And that's been working quite all right with most of the things. And that's the general rule we try to apply on everything. So as you can see now, we have done a buff on some of the spells, especially elementalism, that wasn't useful at all. So we're trying to take those steps as well. I really consider making change already. It's only been 1 day. So as I said, we're trying to collect data. We're collecting everything on preparing a hot fix. We're trying to put everything there that is bad and critical, right? And if something was wrong number-wise or calculation-wise, to make sure nothing is wrong at least. And like I said, we're trying to collect data from the player base as well. I'm not sure exactly when we are deploying the hotfix, depending on the critical question of the specific things as well. If we need to split it up in two, or if we can collect for another day or so, or how we plan to do that tomorrow. Flip Unreal assets. James Fett, I don't know if you know what it means to make a MMORPG game. I don't know if you're game dev or not, but that statement obviously is quite off, you know. We work with Unreal Engine. They are promoting us to use assets and components to help us build a better game. When we need a tree or a structures, we don't want to spend one of our few artists to spend time on that when we actually have mortal custom assets that we need to work on, that we're doing on a daily basis, especially now for TC. We're working a lot on that. Everything that is custom, everything that needs to support custom game code and functions. Obviously, you can't just buy that. You can't buy the asset, you can't buy the codes. That's something we worked on 16 years. We have very good experience of that. We are a small team, so we can never really compete with the giants. And even the giants today are actually making use of Epic Games assets in many ways and forms when it comes to these generic content. So even the giants are using generic content, and why shouldn't we that benefit even more from doing it? It's just logic and using the brain in that manner. And if that's something we can do, then it shouldn't be hard to understand that component, right? Sheep and lazy, why are every giant doing it now as well? I don't think you follow the game development. Today, AI assets and tools are being expanded in a rapid time period. And if you don't tap into that, you're going to fall behind very quickly. We focus on what we do best, and that is building a unique sandbox MMORPG. And we don't want to spend our valuable time on something that is stupid, right? We try to put that on what makes our game stand out and offer something unique and different, rather than building our own stones and trees and stuff like that, you know. I mean, you can't buy our clays, races in the game. You know, everything mortal related obviously needs to be custom, and that's where we spend all of our time. And even the giant, like I said, and some of the most popular game coming out are using heavily assets from Epic Games, and that's why Epic are promoting heavily with game developers, working closely with game developers, and also expanding their platform to promote game developers, small and large. But yeah, it's, you know, can be hard to follow the game development. It goes very quickly. James, I'm gonna just answer one last time here. It's very clear that you're new to this or don't follow these things, but no. So we use Unreal Engine 3 or 4 now for one thing, and that is rendering the game. The rest of the game is a network solution, which is a MMORPG. If you Google that, you will see that that is a very specific component. It's not a single player game. So that's why it's taken us 16 years to reach this point. There's no one else that uses anything remotely close to what we have. And that is also why our game performs and runs very different from most other games that also uses the Unreal Engine. But anyway, most people know that by now, and I've seen that for themselves over the years. But, you know, I try to answer everything once, even though some of them are repeated. Key penalty hit damage, the guy needs to parry. Epic Games is only the front end of the game, I assume. So we use Unreal Engine to render the game, and that's it. And so 80% of the game is MMORPG network codes, pretty much. And then we use the clients and rendering in Unreal Engine. And we built it to support all Unreal engines in the future. That's why we can step over to Unreal Engine 5 now. That we are slowly getting closer to. We first need to deliver TC, as you know, and then we are fully focused on transitioning to Unreal Engine 5. Level update, keep the good work. Thank you very much. Whiny out. Whiny out. So as I mentioned, this patch was not really meant to be a huge content patch, right? Like new dungeon or something. It's exactly what we promised or said it was supposed to be. Continuous of spells from the elementalism groups, which one of the groups that also are heavily affected in sieging that, you know, supports TC, right? And then we have some other feature that was, you know, a lot of desired and asked for quality of life functions, such as naming the bags, crim timer, bugs that gets you killed, murder count placement, important bug fixes and quality of life fixes, right? That we all have been wanted, you know, since we experienced those issues, right? Another component is, like I mentioned, a very large network backend system update that is preparing us for TC. And as a big bonus, we got a lot of points of interest, spawners, dynamic spawners, new mountables, and double mounts. I mean, huge systems that people thought we were getting next year, we're getting now instead. So I would say that it's quite a nice, juicy patch that a lot of people, you know, thought brought a lot of cool things in the wait for the big guns, which obviously is the TC, right? Like I said, we need this in place. I even explained that last stream and put it on the roadmap if you have missed it, why we need this patch in place for TC patch to be possible even. So, but like I said, we will always release patches that some people think is boring, not wanted, even though they're absolutely necessary and are built on a critical prioritized order of things for the game to be able to proceed to the next step and to be able to deliver what everyone wants. So there's some logic behind it, and I can understand that sometimes it may be tricky to follow why, because obviously we can't explain every single step of around everything either, even though I try my best to explain a lot of it. The terror bird bags is coming. We had to disable those one for now. Slappiest Joe, thank you very much for the gifts. And like I said, there's almost magic coming every patch. So Mages is constantly growing, more features, more content, and after Epic we're getting special ability moves that obviously every single fighter, you know, is looking forward to as well, to widen their tactical options as well. Long to TC, that's a very good question, right? We are not stating any official dates because we don't want to feel pressure or stress to absolutely meet those dates, right? So we have internal dates that we're working towards, and so far we are on schedule. And when we get a little bit closer, we will start publishing the steps for the TC public tests session, how they're going to go down and what you can expect, and when we start the first round. All right, so that's the recap, I guess, for now. Let us continue indeed. Where do I have? Okay. So there's been some question and discussion about our supply towers, so I thought we could have a little discussion around that, and also because I wanna, again, we wanna engage with you, the players, to get some feedback, you know, different views and opinions, so we can have that along now when we're also working on those areas. Obviously, we have a pretty good setup that we are excited about, which we have presented to you in our last TC-oriented stream. and we got really great feedback, very positive feedback so far. So I think it's a very good baseline. We're gonna start with that patch in our first TC test session. That's gonna be public. And then there's specific components that we're gonna, allow you to test and give us input and feedback on, and we wanna monitor that to see, stuff like the supply towers amounts, where we put them in the world, how many we need, and the efficiency behind them, how quickly you capture them, and costs, stuff like that. That helps us with balance, and also trying to find that sweet spot to make it offer a never-ending infinite loop when it comes to player conflicts, interactions, and hit and runs, tactical hits, and so on. And hopefully we will find a good spot for that. Again, I know it's going to be a challenge because players will always have different views on how those numbers should be looking at, right? So those are some of the things we want to focus on and follow up on. Supply lines, supply runs, the amount of cost, how the supplies gets drained, at what ratio, how frequently you have to do supply runs, to again try to find those sweet spots so we have a nice flow of those things. Ego Bloom, yes, transition to Unreal 5 will be without a wipe or any in-game changes. The in-game change will obviously be new engine to render the game, new icon need to be able to enable, and some optimization and performance gains in certain areas. So I actually have a little I'm actually running on our test servers to I can show you some things, some of the things that we're talking about right now. Let me see if we can. Right. So let me show you guys. One moment. I'm just gonna see if I can put this. All right. Potion combine is broken. Yeah, we got that one on the hot list already. We're gonna fix that one. Yes. No, I'm not focusing in the window. That's why the performance seems to be slow. But all right, so will you add a follow player? What do you mean, margin TV? So this is a supply tower, and so far I think we have around 60 spread out on Mirland, evenly spread out, as evenly as it's possible. So you will be able to find these base buildings, as in this case like a small rune, right? Which means this is we try to make it unique as well, so it's very clear to see what is this. So we add this flag here as well. So this is a supply tower, which you can, as a city owner, TC owner, you will be able to construct this in location. So this is like a non-captured version or a destroyed one. Thank you very much, HBGGs. So anyway, so you need a few resources and you can construct them. So the goal is that it shouldn't be like constructing a house. It shouldn't be like a huge grind task to capture this tower, right? It's a little bit more like a capture the flag, but a little bit more investment, right? Rather than just standing here. So you have to plan it a little bit, and obviously the owners can try to defend and sabotage from others. Is the goal. But obviously these are the things we're gonna do heavily test, focus on when we started public test servers, because those numbers, we need to find a sweet spot for them. And this is a fully built supply tower. I'm not even sure if we're gonna change the name on them, or if they're gonna be supply towers. It has some sense because it directly connects to supplies, and it also connects to your city. Love your dirty. So obviously you can fully walk up in these stairs. There's some nice light sources that you can see them from distance as well during nighttime. You have a decent view up here and the flag. So later on, when we had the guild emblem system, obviously we want to tie so your logo and colors gets added to this flag, to if you want to show I'm owning this. So this is a supply tower, and yeah. So when you construct this and connect this to your city, that means you will have a bonus both in defense value and prominence to your city guild. So, and there's no limit on how many you can own. So the more you own, obviously the better bonuses you have. So that is the baseline. We're looking at defense value and prominence. And that's something that always are extremely valuable and useful as any guild owner, obviously, because that's a base main currency as well for a lot of things. So capturing a lot of these will help you to be more, have better defense and better income as well. The other question that is again open for debates, that we want to have input from you again, because we now have a very open-ended system that allows from some interesting bonuses to the guild. Ignore the UFO over there. This is some test map level, so here may be some crazy things. So ignore some of that. But anyway, so some of the things we want to, again, hear from you guys is, would there be any interesting effect bonuses that your guild could benefit from additionally by controlling these towers? And that could be pretty much anything, like faster prominence, glory gains when hunting bosses or creatures or mobs, or different types of effects for your guild. Could be almost anything. So we're interested to hearing from you if there's some really solid ones that pretty much the entire community signs off to, that would be awesome and that fits, and obviously we agree with that. Then we can add those bonuses as well. And it could be that this specific tower has a magical strengthening effect, while another tower has something else. They don't have to be the same, all of them also. So that's something that are, like I said, the system is very dynamic and open-ended, so we can add anything into this, and this connect to the guild, as I mentioned. Finally, UFO. Reduce maintenance cost for buildings. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of them. That works. Could be effects. I'm always very careful when it comes to completely affecting your character. We don't want your character to be extremely overpowered because you own all these towers and all these things in the world. Again, we want to promote small groups as much. We want to make sure that player skills and team work always thrives, right? So that's why we want to have this as an open debate to see, do you have some cool examples and suggestions that really fit and doesn't really interfere with player skills in a negative way? So we're really open to hear all kind of suggestions that you would see that would be cool, that fits. So one tower can give armor buff, another can give, say, blunt damage buff. That could be the case, yes, if that's something we want to add to them. Should get more glory for venturing from your supply towers. Increase in guild size number. Allow to strap a beast to a chain to defend it. Loot lock towers. Higher NPC respawn is some range of tower. So one large group can't own all of these. Like I said, they are spread out on entire mainland and there will be plenty of them. Currently we are looking at 60. One guild can't own them all because, as I mentioned, this building is not gonna be like a huge defense building. You knock it down fairly easy with hammers. Obviously if you have a heavy siege machine, it's gonna be extremely fast, like instant almost. Here you see the progression steps as well. So I wanna try to, you know, explain that. So when you start building this, you can do it alone or with a friend in your guild, and you put a few resources here and you just start building, and it very quickly upgrades to the final version. So the key here is that you can very easily, a small group can hit and strike and capture one of these from a large group if you do it quickly. Because if you're one guild owning them all, you're not gonna have enough time to go across the world to prevent someone from capturing a tower and, you know, kill them off. If you control the towers close to your base and you're there active, then obviously you will have an opportunity to defend them, right? So that's the key here, right? That's why a small group can benefit equal as a large one. And the thing is also, whenever you capture it, there's a grace period where you will at least benefit from the bonus for 1 hour, which is like 2 or 3 cycles of bonuses. And also the passive bonus when it, you know, gives the active bonus. But after that hour, again, it's vulnerable for attack, so anyone else can take it. So a small group can benefit tactically just as much as a big group, because you can take them in a time window and you will always have some time where you benefit from them before they are open targets again, right? So that's why small groups can have a lot of fun and bonuses from these towers also. It won't just benefit a large group, because again, a large group won't be able to control them all, because it's going to be impractical, because they're so easy to steal from each other. So it's like an infinite fight over them. Like I said, I think it makes sense to give a grace period of 1 hour. So if you manage to capture it, you at least have it for a few cycles before it's up for grabs again. Yeah, we will enable the tabers later done. We ran into some issues and we didn't want to hold back the whole patch due to it, so they're going to be re-enabled very soon. Anything to fight over is a plus. Yeah, and like I said, this is a very nice bonus to guild owners, and it's obviously optional for anyone to try to go for them. And like I said, we're starting with 60. After the first TC stress test, we're gonna hear from you, the community, if there are too many or too few. So we can add more, and also obviously suggestion on locations. Obviously we wanna try to make sure it's unbiased in terms of, you know, we're living here, we need a tower here, you know. So we place them general, just without looking at who is where. Obviously we have no player relation. But if you imagine around 60 something spread out on mainland, you don't have to run very far to find one of these towers in your area. More is probably better to give up everyone opportunity. Yes, exactly. So that's why we are starting with 60. I mean, if you look at the overview on the map and you see 60 of these towers spread out, like I said, you don't have to run too far to at least have one tower quite close to your base if you're living there. And then, of course, the further away you go, the more you cover. Obviously, the harder it's going to be to keep them, right? Because the distance to go to them eventually gonna be outperformed by someone grabbing them, right? But this is also the thing. So when you're growing in ranks as your guild for TC, some of the tasks and goals is that you have to hold 3 or more towers simultaneously on a cycle, which means you have to coordinate to take them and then you may manage to reach that task. And you can do that anywhere in the world. So that's also very interesting. Is this content just for guild or for all alliances? So currently we're looking at this is for your guild, because if this ties into alliances also, then yeah, we're slowly starting into the progression that, okay, you can have a huge guild with a infinite amount of allies to tag into this, and then all of a sudden you're close to all of them, right? And you benefit from all of them, and then you have that huge advantage that can't really be there can't be small groups that do hits and runs and sabotage that from you, because you're already everywhere, right? Because you're going out from many different bases. So I think that could be dangerous, and it heavily promotes large groups, and smaller groups will be more crippled by that, right? So you see what I mean? So I think this is a case where it's more safe to go for your guild, your base. The further out you go, obviously the harder it's going to be for you, but it's an option, right? Is it 16 or 60? 60. So quite a lot, but it could be that we want to add more, right? That's what we're gonna see after the first TC test. If you think we need to add 20 more or 40 more, we will do that, right? How strategic are these towers placed according to the current state of the world? So what I've done is I have obviously an overview of the whole mainland map, and first of all, I make sure that no one is placed on or too close to a node line. Also make sure that we take a spot where we know you can't build here, so we don't put it in a flat open area where a lot of people may have built already. So we actually incorporate them in a slope or where there are props, or where we know no one have built, and then we place them there, and we may tweak the environment to make it fit perfectly. And I also take a look on all the keep locations. Those are key important as well, right? So I make sure that there are always some near every single keep. There are always some between some keeps, and there's then obviously a lot of bonuses spread out. So you will see that they're very evenly spread out, I would say, in every single biome area, forest location in the world. So I think that, that's going to be a very good base. And then obviously we will see if there's any of those towers placed in a very bad spot due to keep conflicts or whatever that may be. I don't think so, because we try to look careful to make sure it's even distances between all the keep owners. And so I think it comes more down to, okay, we want this many more, or it's fine with 60, because if there's towers everywhere and it becomes like everywhere is satisfied to own one, and there's no competition around them, then obviously there's less conflicts, right? So again, we want to find that sweet spot, but again, it's a huge world. There's so many strongholds and guilds spread out on mainland that I'm not sure if we want to have too few, right? Because that could be extreme, but also we don't want too many, so there's still a desire to try to go for them, and also a challenge, right, to go for many and keep many, right? People always want more, sure. So we will obviously carefully monitor this and look at the overall feedback, and I think it will be quite clear when the community really try it and see how it works. And also a huge component comes down to the grace period, the cost and speed to destroy and rebuild them, right? We want that, as I said, to be a quite easy task. Shouldn't be a huge grind, not like building a house. So you can do quick hit and runs and do tactical component runs to have the grace period and use that advantage. Yeah, obviously we want a lot of feedback when it comes to that, to see where those numbers needs to be. 60 sounds many already. Well, if you imagine that we have 35,000 creatures running around in the world, and a lot of people say the world feels empty, huge areas are very empty. Imagine then 60 spread out. the huge world consumes everything quickly and efficient. So I'm not sure it's gonna feel that it's too many, and I think you're gonna be hungry for towers. I think you're gonna be hungry, which means there will always be a competition around these towers. And that's also, like I said, we want your input when it comes to what additional bonuses fits and would you like to see on these towers, so they become even more exciting to fight for, right? And then while we are here, I can show you our siege tents. So this is a siege tent. And what's pretty cool with these are that, so when you start a siege, you need to construct a siege tent, and you need to make sure that you have proper amount of resources with you to make sure you can construct siege machinery. So it's a risk. You need to make sure you place this in a good location. And then you go here to put in wood resources, as you can see here. And then you go here to add stone resources. So you add those resources to this siege tent, and then you have a nifty little dwarf, Ogmir, I mean, or anyone obviously works, that get busy and constructing these heavy ass weapons. So these are the Scorpion Ballista ammo, one type here. Heavy bolts, as you can see. If you get hit by one of these, it's game over. It's game over. And obviously they're also very effective against other machineries, right? And then here we have two types of ammo for catapults. So here we have the classic stone boulder, right? That you carve out of the stone here. You will get boulders here. And then this is a little special motherfo, which is, as you can see, we got inspired by Gladiator, the movie. It's a golden gem movie, right? We all love Gladiator. So they did something like this in that movie, and we want to see how the hell do they look and how do they function. So it's like a clay urn, a robust urn, where you put fireable, flaming cloth and oil and stuff in it, right? So you put them, you load them in, you put them to fire, and you shoot them like a chick boom, man. And that means boom, explosion of fire and oil and mayhem all over the place, just like in the Gladiator movie when you see those flying and hitting the trees and bam, everyone is burning and screaming. So that's that ammo, right? So it may be more effective against larger area AOE fire damage stuff, right? And these one are obviously heavy badass to just wreck stones and strong structures, just like in the movie. Indeed. So, and this is one of the cool things. So we are expanding the system from the first game. In the first game, you stood there next to the catapults. You had your bag full with chickaboom boulders, and you just click load, shoot, load, shoot. A little bit, you know, not extremely cool. So this time we're building a system where you actually have to go here and you pick up this boulder with your hands, and you can see you hold it in your hands, and you walk slowly because it's heavy ass. And you have to obviously, again, have tactical in mind, because you're walking like this with the boulder and you load it, and then the guy in charge of the catapult is aiming and shooting, right? So you have to be in charge of how do you do this effectively. And obviously, how do you make sure that enemies just don't come here and break it all up so your siege ends before it even started. So you're gonna see people running around with these bolts. You take it in the hand and you walk like this and you load it. You run back, you take this boulder or you take this one. And obviously you need to make sure someone is producing them with the resources here. So again, that is an extension. We're pushing it forward from the first game. And you see what's going on rather than just chickaboom in the bag. So we're trying to push it forward, right? So constructing a siege tent obviously have its specific rules, lyrics. You need to construct them in certain areas that allows you to engage in a siege. So obviously, if a keeper own all these lands, you will be able to construct these anywhere, and then start constructing siege machinery out of it. But obviously these may be, if the land controller have alert towers or spies or control towers, NPC alert towers or such, you can tag them, and that will alert the whole city, the guild owner, that some mofo is building siege tents north of our base or something like that, which obviously alert you to go here and try to defend, right? So a lot of tactic and planning needs to go into how the hell do you make a successful siege. You can't just go there and think it's served on a plate. You need to plan it properly. You need to have resources planned for. You need to have people in place to do their roles correctly or effective if you want an effective siege. And like I said before, that some had some question about that, ninja sieges. That was a problem in the first game that we have a lot of discussion about. I think some people have missed those discussions, but that's also something we're improving this time around, right? So to start sieging a TC city or a keep, you first need to cut. So for instance, if a keep owner have like plenty of these towers already there, they have a decent defense bonus from that. So you may want to start peeling off some of their towers. And then the big component are the supply lines next to the keep owners, quite close to them, but some distance. You need to capture those or cut them off from the keep owners. And then you can start building this more efficiently and start hurting that city. And we're also looking at, there's again, we're not sure about the final names, but a supply structure, or obviously we need a proper name for it, but there's a supply structure that any city owner can construct as well, and that also acts as a supply line structure. So, and that one you can build wherever you want. So as a stronghold owner, you can build it wherever you want. And that's very important to protect, because that also strengthens your stronghold base. So that means if someone want to siege your stronghold, it may be much more effective to first siege the supply structure and destroy that, and then go for the stronghold. And then obviously, like I said, if they have a lot of these towers, obviously that's also going to slow them down, right? So scouting, getting intel on enemies that you're trying to defeat is first going to be key components, and then the whole planning and tactical component with how the hell will you siege them in an effective way without having a complete failure, losing your resources and just giving it to the enemies instead. What is Siege Master Clade going to offer players? So yeah, obviously that's something that ties into this a little bit, right? So we're going to go through those details as well, but obviously there are some skills Clade involved that boost some of these functions that simply makes them more effective. I don't have the final numbers and exact effects here, so that's something we're going to revisit for the TC, the test phases, to see also that those are aligned properly. Worth it, but obviously not a requirement absolutely to be fully efficient, right? Do you need to have a castle to own a city? No. So the smallest city you can construct is even with a normal house. It's just that the area of your influence will be quite small. You can grow it a little bit, but it won't be, extreme radius. So you have to carefully choose your buildings that you want to construct in your village if you own a house. Like if you want to have build a farm, breed your animals, or have a farm and grow your crops, or a shop, or whatever that may be, right? I'm still laughing about Chickaboom in the bag. So yeah, you can start off as a small village owner from a house. With a stronghold, you get additional bonuses to those radius and options that allows you to grow stronger and more options. And obviously the keep owners have the infinite influence and strength when it comes to expanding their boundaries until they hit other keep owners' boundaries. or nation boundaries. So everyone gets to play with this, just smaller scale to infinite scale. Please let us build trebuchet and fire dead cows. Say dead cows give debuff inside the keep. I mean, obviously over time that could be some cool feature we want to add on. I mean, like I said, this is a really robust, big package for the core of TC and both sieging and constructing, right? But obviously this doesn't mean that that's it. And that's one of the beauty with Mortal Online. It's ever expanding. And if you have really cool ideas and concept design that fits with our, then, and we see that that's something absolutely everyone wants to have into the game, then there's nothing that prevents us from planning that and adding that in upcoming patches as well. So again, we try to pinpoint what the majority of players want first, that a lot of people can have a lot of joy with and enjoy in the game, right? Before we, again, continue moving forward. Let us fire fat mages in the trebuchets. I mean, they will most likely die, right? But maybe you can fire one little chickaboom. So yeah, this siege tent is pretty cool, right? So you can see these are the components that are coming from the siege machineries. Like I said, here is, you have to have a constant flow of stones that they put here, constant flow of wood that they put here if you need to keep constructing ammo or machineries from this building. So obviously, as a defender, you want to destroy this building. Make sure you prevent maximum damage to your city, right? So I think they're pretty cool. Do you like them, guys? Pretty cool design, right? Looks like a nice preparation siege tent, don't you agree? Need to fight chickens for a real chickaboom. Not sure if they do much damage though, the chicken. 100%. Yeah, I think they did a good job. And it's going to be really cool when we show you the component where you actually pick this up in your hand and walk around with them to fuel the machineries. That's going to also be a very important component. Like I said, just standing there magically pop them out of your pockets. Now you have to produce them and run them. So it all makes more sense, and it also allows for more. I can see what's going on, and I can also try to interfere with that, right? So it's going to be a blast. It's going to be like a whole game in itself, just surrounding TC and sieging mechanics and all that. It's going to be a hell of a show, guys. Hell of a show. Rough estimate for when TC is going to launch. I can't say still. People just get disappointed when if we need to postpone or rearrange or change. So we will make a post when it's time and what that next step will be, what you can anticipate. 1 year into test server. No. We're quite close, guys. We're quite close in terms of time. How far do siege weapons shoot? So that's also something we need to test a lot. It's a big balance thing as well. You know, obviously we're trying to make sure it looks natural, right? Like in real life, with the tension of the catapult and how far with the trajectory, the projectile flying, the physics and all that. So, but I'm sure we will need to tweak those strength and values from our first test session even. So we're gonna do internal numbers. We're gonna make sure it looks nice and it feels realistic and believable. And then we throw it to you guys to public test. And then I'm sure you're gonna have input as well additionally. So it's very important we get the public test server in place to holy shit, to make sure that we have these components in a good way. Everything we want tested, right? Like hit points, how quickly can you construct these tents, the cost for them, and then, you know, there's a lot of those balance numbers we want feedback on as well. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of variation on those numbers feedback, because again, it's very clear to see that there's so many different types of players in our game. There would be those that just want nothing but blood. They want to play Mordhau online, quickly and efficient. And then, of course, we have more long-term players, traders, PvE, building. You know, obviously those clash a little bit, so we want to make sure we still follow our red line. It's a persistent world. It can't be a Quake match. It can't be, you know, a Mordhau match either. Everyone needs to understand it, and I think everyone understands it, because this is a long, huge commitment for a lot of players to build a kingdom. Then obviously it can't be like a death match in Mordhau, right? It needs to be a proper commitment, proper fair gameplay to be able to defend and keep your city, right? But there should obviously also be enough tools to break through, right? So so what's the point of defending? Defending is actually useless, no? You need to push and attack tents. So what's the point of defending? Defending is actually useless. Lyrics, so the point of defending is to keep your city, right? Your enemies shouldn't destroy you. So that's the main point, right? If you don't want to lose everything. And how you defend is by many different ways. You know, obviously you can use fire arrows, you can use magic, you can fight, you can use siege machineries as defensive weapons. So obviously there would be an arsenal of options to defend. And, you know, so obviously there's going to be wars, for infinite wars, just like in Modern 1, just more larger scale, more grand, and more of everything, and more refined, expanded version in those systems that wasn't as fun or cool. So everything just gonna be greatly improved, and you know, teamwork planning will be a very important key component to be successful as a defender or offender. So it's gonna be epic. It's gonna be fun, obviously, to participate in these encounters. Depending on that, something you wanna play with, obviously. Yeah, but defending is attacking tents to stop the raid. One way is to attack tents, yes, but you can construct the siege machineries with wheels or stationary. Obviously, with wheels means you can move them around if you have the manpower to move them. So again, you have additional tools to surprise your enemies, so you don't just are bound to a siege tent to put very close to your enemy base so they can see them and directly go to the tent. This is the tactical component that is up to the players, right? You can obviously hide this far away and start constructing mobile machineries, and then as an army move them forward over land and surprise enemies. But then obviously you need to also make sure you have a steady flow of transporting ammo and stuff to make machineries useful. So it's endless, you know. That's what's going to be exciting for the players to explore with. How do you do a successful siege? How do you defend your base and you know, make sure that you spot threats in time and so on? And there's plenty of tools for that, as well. As I mentioned, using NPCs and alert towers is going to be very effective and important if you want that services to help you to get a alert for you and your guild, for instance. How much will the upkeep of a player city cost if they intend on sieging other guilds? So there's an obvious cost with constructing siege machineries. And that is an important balance factor as well, that will, you know, that we can make sure that to use this much offensive weapon power that can damage this much assets come at a cost in prominence, resources, and gold, right? So that's part of the big balance. Again, we have some rough numbers from the first game. We have much more refined system this time around, and want to make sure that obviously we try to use the golden rule when it comes to underpowered rather than overpowered, so not everyone gets wiped very efficiently. And then we nerf them to get them more aligned. It's much more safer to start to make sure it's very difficult and challenging and cost a lot to wipe a city from another group. That should be a great commitment, at risk also, obviously. So we're trying to make sure that we are on that spectrum rather than the opposite, right? Because again, it's not a Mordhau deathmatch. It is a real world. This is not just a game, guys. This is the real deal. And there's a lot of commitment, and people will be, investing their time for many, many years to come, just like we did in Mortal 1, right? So, yeah, we want to get it right, and that's why we think it's absolutely vital we have the public test server to get the raw data and a lot of feedback from players. And also, obviously, if people find ways to make things more efficient that we even counted for, or using component that we didn't count for. So hopefully we will cover that during these test phases. No, wagons is not coming for this, but we added bags for the heavy animals such as Campadons and Mulvas. So Mulva beasts and Campadons are the heaviest creatures that carry heavy stuff, right? So if you want to be most efficient, you're going to use Campadons to transport heavy goods in running cities, supply runs, and sieges. But we're getting closer to wagons. Obviously, wagons will be even more superior than Campadon with bags. That allows it to be a little bit more efficient when it comes to transporting goods or even players and NPCs. Please don't make pigs and wolves mounts. You can already mount any creatures in the world, but we only enabled pigs, wolves, terrorbirds so far. But obviously they're not as effective as a horse when it comes to speed and stamina. And they can't also fit 2 players on them, which a horse can, or a mulva. So what's the reason behind not being able to cast, shoot, or swing on a 2-person mount? So we actually were simply afraid of imbalance, so we disable it for the passenger for now. But I think it's exciting and interesting to allow the passenger to also behave like you would alone. But obviously we need to make sure balance is there. So it's not a definite no to that option. So there's a few things we may want to also put on the public test server, which could be some of these functions that we know they could be very critical balance-wise, but it could also be a natural balance on it if we get some things right, and that could offer for even more cool tactical components. So we play the safe card and disable the passenger options for now. I mean, we already got a lot of feedback when I showed that function in my previous stream that people gonna set their alternate super healer bot automatically behind your main rider. And yeah, people are creative. They find all kind of ways and tactics right. So we thought, let's disable it for now, and then maybe we can test it on the public test server as well. And if we see that shit, we can get it to work, it's not taking over the balance or wrecking it, then yeah, we could enable it, right? So Wappened, thank you for the gift. Wappened. Tried to mount my dog today, didn't work out well, and now I have a hefty vet bill. Since that's not too good, not too good. I think they did it in Ark. Lol, it was a quits a bit dirt, and you drive by murder everything that walks. Yeah, I know Ark. I played it a bit. You can build some crazy wagons, plateaus on those big dinos, right? And you have people there like a big tank. I mean, there's some cool elements with it, and I hope that we can have, a small scale to offer some options there, like the component can be that large that you can actually build a little plateau there, and you could maybe fit a few people there. Obviously that will slow down animal. Speed is always king, so that's an important balance factor. But yeah, I mean, my hope as a personal style, again, I'm not just trying to build this game as I would like to play it personally. I have a red line, but I also want to, you know, follow that mortal vision and make sure that many players can enjoy it, right? But I hope that we can offer 2 players acting on a horse or a big creature, but we need balance, right? Pierce, 22 month. Thank you very much. Time flies indeed. Indeed. If lances would dismount both people, would kind of work. I mean, like, yeah, those are the discussions we need to have, right, when it comes to testing it. And I think it's a good opportunity to put that on the public test server, right? Because then we can experiment heavily. We can get everyone's feedback on it. We can look at the data and see, okay, this is bad or this is good, right? And then we can move on from there. Because there are some things that, you know, I don't dare us to jump one of those directions at this point and just push it live. Again, we try to be as careful as possible. And since we're getting close to the public test server, it makes sense to save some of those risky cards there, but that could play out very well, right? Dismount both, down it already. It does dismount both. It's true, it does. Like I said, you know, I'm not sure. We were not sure if there were some crazy combination that will just break it. Because people are creative as hell. They make, you know, they do effective setup and yeah. So we have to revisit it, right? Or dismount the driver and leave the passenger scooter. So we did make some changes there. So first we allowed the passenger to be separate from the rider. So if the rider jumped off, the passenger still sat there and he could actually follow the horse moving around. But it gave us some strange problems when the AI tried to teleport to a proper spot or got stuck, and then the player just foobarred out. So we couldn't risk that because that could be very odd situations. So we played a safe card again there and made sure that when rider jumps off, the passenger jumps off, and you can't fight from the horse as a passenger for now. So yeah, that's why we did that to start safe, right? I mean, there's a lot going on, so, and it's hard to cover everything at once. GigaChat is my favorite dev. No, I haven't done a giveaway yet, actually. I just gone through some Siege components with the Siege tent. I showed these to again, you know, explain what the players can expect along with the TC sieging components, and also these supply towers that we are spread around 60 towers so far on Mirland. And those will look like this when we patch them, and they're free for grabs. And when fully constructed, they look like this. A cool little tower on distance. As you can see, there's a light source. So when it's dark, you can see them. And you have this nice flag on the top. So you should easily identify them spread out on the world. And these are the construction states when building a supply tower. Ninja rating is only mortal one thing, he said, something like that. Can there be a new panel next to the body heat and world heat that says what the weather is? It is currently is like cold, etc. So we all can tell easier. So we discussed if we wanted to translate the temperature into Celsius to kind of give a tell, right? But for now we added the normal temperature is 0. Everything above and under means it's a little bit hotter or a little bit colder. And again, I want to make it clear because everyone didn't understand that even though with this heat temperature system enabled, they don't go to the extremes that you can get hurt or affected in stamina on mainland. So you don't have to worry about that. It's more like if you get extensive ignition, you're burning, stuff like that, then it may increase your temperatures additionally to a degree where you get affected. But just running around in the world with the different weathers and casting some effects on the weathers, you won't go to the extremes that your stamina or hit points will be affected. So again, we are taking it safe there. So yeah, we discussed it, obviously. So that means it's, instead of having 50 as a nominal temperature that no one can translate to, we said that 0 is like, perfect temperature, neither cold or hot. And then when you see it slowly go up, you will understand, okay, it's a little bit hotter here. If we go to north snowy area, you will see it's get a little bit colder as well. And then those will go more to the extremes depending on where in the world over time and what kind of effects you get on your body. But yeah, we have been discussing if we should translate it to a Celsius system, so you understand that 20 Celsius is pretty much again non-full impact temperature, and that if you're running around in 40 Celsius degrees, you understand why your stamina is cooking, right? Or if you're running around in minus 20 degrees, you know why you're freezing your ass off. But then again, American will be a little bit confused with the Celsius, right? So that's why we kept it at 0, and you will understand that if it goes to minus X, you understand that the further away from 0, the stronger the effect over time, right? Google's will be fine. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we will see if we want to translate it instead, but I think everyone can understand that 0 is the neutral step, and having a few numbers above or under doesn't really matter. It just shows that it's a little bit hotter, a little bit colder. But when you see those numbers go quite crazy to minus or plus, then you also understand why your stamina and eventual hit points is going to be affected. But like I said, you don't go to those extreme degrees on Milan currently, so you won't have that penalty. What is a Celsius? Celsius is the master degree over the imperial metrics. Just confusing to have all these different measurements, right? Just give an option for Fahrenheit in settings. Oof, always complicate things with all these different metrics. Why says this whole world uses Fahrenheit? What? Isn't majority using Celsius? Who's using Fahrenheit besides America? The whole world is America. Wrong. Timbuktu. Feet. Only USA. Yeah, I'm not sure which country uses what, but America goes against the world when it comes to feet, pounds, Fahrenheit, all of that nonsense, right? Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's a problem right now, right? First off, it doesn't impact your stamina and hit points in that degree, and everyone can at least understand the closer to 0, the more neutral effect it is, right? Everyone can understand that no matter what metrics. Will races be affected with temps, meaning some will do great in cold? Yes, absolutely. Every single clade have a different bonus to resisting cold or heat. And then there are some clades as well that you may have noticed that additionally adds to that resistance. But like I said, on Milan, it's neutral degrees, so you don't go to the extremes. You won't be losing hit points by just the nature environment. When you go to the glass clader in Sarka, you're gonna burn alive over time. With proper gear and gifts and clades, you can sustain that much better than others. And vice versa in coldness, right?
Oh my god, another one.
Stain.
Another one.
Oh my god. Thank you for the gift. Appreciate it. I'm running out of juice, guys. I'm running out of juice. So yeah, that's the supply tower. So like I said, we're gonna try to open a community interaction specifically for some of these components, where we can debate and write what kind of effects would you like these towers to contribute with for you and your guild. Like I said, their base value is defense and prominence that will be passed to your guild when you control them. But it's an open-ended system. We can add almost anything as a bonus to your guild that controls these towers. Again, we just want to be careful about, again, interfering too much with player skills, right? But I think there could be room for some interesting additional bonuses, and I know you guys can be very helpful in giving some solid examples. Hopefully, that's what we believe. And yeah, we're gonna show you more of this in action when you actually pull these ammos from these locations and move them to a siege machine, and then boom on a tower. Chicka boom it goes. Chicka boom it goes. Right, right. I've seen a streamer not using filters for brightness. So we said that we haven't played around too much when it comes to the brightness and stuff in Unreal 4, because very soon we're all gonna be 100% committed to just fine-tune everything in Unreal 5. There are already team members that are fully working in Unreal 5 transition, but now a lot of the team members are fully occupied with TC. But we said that, yeah, I don't think it's good that people have to brighten up their monitor a little bit when they're running around out in the world, because it's struggling to see, and streamers watching streamers have difficulty seeing what's going on, and they just crank up the gamma. It's just lagging because I'm alt tab now, solid frame again. So yeah, I think also since we have two big bright moons, larger and emit more light, I think it makes sense to make it beautiful, a believable mood night, but you can still see quite good without having to touch the gamma or make it look ugly, right? I think that makes sense, and it helps everyone in a good way. And then when we go to undergrounds and dungeons, that's when it can go to pitch black, so gamma hacking doesn't even work, right? So we have a night vision system prepared for this already. It's just that we haven't set the numbers, because we're gonna set them in the new lighting system for Unreal Engine 5. So you will go to dungeons where it's pitch black. You can't, doesn't matter how much you crank up the gamma, you won't see anything. It's gonna be pitch black. And then there are the clades and gifts that also increases your radius, you can see, and also brighten up some of it a little bit. And then of course we also have multiple light sources, especially more over time, that you will be dependent on to see in those pitch black areas. But there will also be a lot of dungeons that have nice light setup, so you know, especially new player dungeon experience should be a little bit easier on them, right? So they can enjoy and get into the game before they go into the more hardcore, dangerous location where it's can go into pitch black and the players has to be more in control of how they successfully adventure down there. Yes, Mage Light. So one of the other groups coming from Elementalism is light sources that you will be able to use in different ways, both as a familiar, but also as a local. You place a light source magically and it's there for quite a while. So there will be some different new additional light source options. And then hopefully soon over time we will be able to do the torch in the belts. Some more options there also if we don't know any magic at all. I mean, you can already place campfires, right? And they last for quite a while and they do light up the area. We may have to tweak those efficiencies a little bit as well, but there will be additional options. So I think the majority agrees to these tweaks moving forward with Unreal Engine 5 to make the game more enjoyable and also enjoyable to watch players stream it. It isn't the dock that makes it so bad, it's the fog and rain. Nah, the main complaint is when people are running around, depending on the zone also, during night you don't see shit. And the player just crank up the monitor brightness or gamma. So, and some of them pass it forward on stream, so people are watching and say, why does it look so crappy? Because they're gamma hacking. Or it looks almost pitch black and they say, I can't see shit, what are you doing? I'm fighting, it's a cool PvP fight. I can't see it, can you show it? No, I can't show you. That's not really enjoyable, right? To have that as a baseline out in the world. And then we have some areas that are heavily foggy quite often. That indeed could be a little bit tweaked also. So absolutely the weather have some room for tweak as well. But the darkness, everyone can see that why is it pitch black here in this area but a little bit brighter in another area depending on the texture setting as well. It doesn't make sense to have that. Is it gamma hacking to want to see in a game? Yeah, no, like I said, we want to tweak the values so you don't have to touch gamma or brightness at all when you're at least running out in a world where we have two bright moons, and in general you should be able to see during nighttime. Fog and rain is great. This is an open world MMO, not arcade shooter. I mean, I think it's really cool when there are some crazy weather effects going on every now and then, and where there are some heavy fog with spectacular lights and you actually can't see extremely far, like here in this scene. So you have to adapt your gameplay a little bit, that, you know, you have threats near, more close to you, and you have to adapt to that. And then in some cases there's no fog at all, and where you can see miles after miles and see a player, a dot on the horizon before he grows, right? I like that variation. It gives interesting tactical variation, and you know, it's beautiful and looks cool and interesting. The problem with Lightning is that it's client-based. We've had people with severe storm while others are clear day. No, it's absolutely not client-based. Sebastian have explained this system as well a few times. This is 100% server-driven, but there can be a delay or a miss in the synchronization on one of the clients, but it always gets updated over time. So it's more of a delay question. And there could also obviously be a bug involved in a circumstance that I'm not exactly sure of at this point, but absolutely not client-based. It's 100% server built. Absolutely not client-based. Sebastian built the system and it's the server that determines it. But like I said, there could be bugs, and we know that there's a delay update sometime for some clients from the server. Yeah, like I said, when you go to one zone to another zone and you will get the data from the server, there may be a delay, Belson. That's what I'm talking about in this case. That's the exact same thing as you're describing. So yeah, obviously not getting that update quickly and the other one has. Sure, that's a disadvantage during that time period, right? We fully understand that. And that's something we want to obviously tighten up so that is as delayed because of unfair gameplay. 100% agree with that. But it's coming from the server. It's not your client that determines that whatsoever. But yeah, we want to tighten that up for sure, so everyone can see the same weather instantly, right? Just like now, there's fog and rain, I can't see a thing. No, I mean, so there's intention that you should have a high hindering in your game view. I mean, people love that and have been waiting for that for a very long time, to have an impact on your visibility range. That's a huge game changer and tactical component that gives variation and interesting gameplay. We don't just want it all to be a happy, perfect 100 miles view as it is on my screen right now. We want it to be heavy storm, heavy snowstorms, heavy fogs at times in various locations where it's a biome that, you know, often have those temperatures and humidity that can offer those effects more frequently than maybe the steppe or you know, stuff like that. It based on real life calculations as well, to again try to mimic some believable differences in the world. But like I said, it could be that some areas have too much, too frequently of some of the effects that we may want to tweak a little bit. But it's absolutely intended to be, you know, shit, it's hard to see far right now, I need to be careful, I don't know where the threat is. That's absolutely intended. But like I said, depending on where it is, there may be some room for tweaking how frequent and so on, right? Or just learn the power of an elementalist and take control of the weather and remove the fog. Bam! You are in control. In what MMO can you control the weather? None. Zip. Nada. Only in Mortal 2. Is weather going to be fixed inside dungeons? In the mini dungeon, there's some blizzard. Yeah, there are some locations where the sky calculation against roof is mismatching and it allows to some of the effect go down. Yes, we know about those. And yeah, they will obviously be fixed. I actually thought it looked pretty cool in some location, even though if there's a roof, it doesn't make sense, right? But it added a cool mood when you pass through the bridge in Minnow and you see the snow, and then when you continue, there's no more snow. Like there are a roof, but yeah, it doesn't really make sense if there's a roof, right? But it actually added a cool element, I thought, when I saw it on one of the stream lately. But yeah, it needs to make sense, right? And chance you can make lawless down on a second logout instead of Ted. Yeah, that's supposed to be changed. So I'm not sure where it is in our schedule, but somewhere, yes, it's intended that lawless cities shouldn't be instant logout. What is that flying in the just to the right of the tower? That is a siege ramp. You can construct it 1 mile up in air, and you can place several siege weapons there and shoot from far distances. So you want to take that ramp down very quickly, Demo Man. Because if you don't, you are in pure hell. You're in pure hell, right? Also called a carrier ramp. You shoot mofos from that one, okay? I just wanna make sure that that was a joke. It's a joke, all right? Wait, what? Wait, what? Come on, man! Come on, man! I shoot all the mofos. Got him! I got him! I got you, mofos! All right. Rick roll. I gotcha. I gotcha. I gotcha. So, shall we do the roll, guys? I think it's time for giveaway. Getting close to the 2-hour mark. Let's start the sign up. Exclamation mark MA2, guys. And we have it rolling in a moment. Gotcha. 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 Hey. Yeah, damage and pets stable. There's a little abuse there that we wanna look into. Yes. Can you confirm the new sunken boats in the seas around Milan? Already spent hours searching. No, Znam. I can confirm there are sunken shipwrecks. I can't confirm how many or where, but I can confirm there are some added, spread out. Yes. Just as we have spread out outlaws, ambushing, dynamic spawners, AI. Some of them want to kill your mounts. They try to copy player behavior. Stuff like that, you know. We're slowly expanding PvE encounters in different forms. They're going to surprise the crap out of you over time. We are putting some of those in this patch. And you're going to see a lot more of them in upcoming patches. In the epic patch, you're going to shit your crap your pants. Holy shit. Twisting the words. Sunken ships, teleporters trap, go get them. Already found one, happy swimming. Alright. Shit your what? Sometime when I'm my brain's a little bit exhausted, I twist the words. I put the first word as the second word. It's quite strange when I do that. I can't give a good example, but when you pants your shit instead of when you shit your pants. Would be cool to have mounted bandits in the steps like current bandits. You will see absolutely more bandit types, humanoids, in groups and in different forms. We are experimenting some cool stuff there, and you see some of it in this patch, and you will see much more over time. So yeah, there's some really cool stuff that I think gonna spice things up to explore the world and get some cool encounters. I saw how Lordus shit his pants when some crawled up from the disguise. A crew of outlaws. Something we haven't talked about in a while. When is the next dungeon being added? Serious under Cranish. So currently we obviously 100% focus on TC, right? There's so much content tied to TC that we don't have the resources to construct a whole new dungeon. We have some resources to build these dynamic spawners because we have tools, systems for it, so we can just, whenever some of those developers have time, we can expand in that area. But yeah, obviously, eventually we're gonna add more specially designed dungeons with a lot of depth and threats. This game is full of role players. Please put some love into table game patch. Tarduk, you are absolutely correct, and I'm quite sad that we couldn't make the poker games earlier, because I would have had a blast just sitting in a tavern with you guys, the community, and playing away my hard-earned gold, or taking yours, right? Because I know how to play poker. I saw our last stress test poker tourney in our community, and oh boy, I would take a lot of money from you guys. No, but it would be really fun to just socialize and play some table games with you, the community. So I'm very much looking forward to that, and I think that it would be, you know, a cool thing, a social thing also to be able to do at any times and just enjoy, right? So we have to see where we can make it happen. You know, again, we want to expand more, so we have more developers, so we can cover some of those areas more simultaneously. But now we need to be careful and focusing on TC heavily, and then we have the Epic, right? Hard to earn cash. You know, when I play Mod Online, I play on a normal account and I play with my real life friends. And yeah, though I don't have much gold, so that will absolutely be hard earned cash, right? I haven't had enough time to play more and make more money. I would love to be able to have more time and play more with my friends in the game. So I have a few friends that are playing a lot and they really love the game, and obviously they want to play more. They want me to join in more than I can currently. Henrik, poor man, like I said, it's all about time, right? If I can't invest that much time in making money in the game, I'm gonna be poor, right? Henrik, can you add something to incorporate a gold sink into the game to help clean the economy? There will be plenty of gold sinks starting with TC. Everything will cost a lot of gold, and not only gold. We are talking about prominence as well that no one has. So everyone is starting with scratch. You can't just buy everything at the get-go. You will have to work as a team to be able to fund your city, and everything will cost gold also. Found a sunken boat. Congrats, Navy Styles. Is spell balance being visited? Compared to spell casting, they seem overtuned. No interrupting, faster shooting, and comparable damage. Concentration nerf on mount is brutal. So archery don't have a lot of areas. There's a lot of Rangers fans out there that will love that archery gets more love, so they can 100% focus on being a pure Ranger, more classic setup for a archer build. But they can't, because they are violated and killed very easily when they are encountering the wrong situation. So you only have a few areas where it shines and it has a good purpose. So I'm not sure if it's the correct time to tweak or nerf that now without having those components in first. And then we're also obviously getting throwing weapons and crossbows eventually. So, and fletching. So when we work on those areas that we're adding, then obviously we're gonna considering that. Can you enjoy Martin 2 as solo players? You absolutely can, but it is a game that obviously offer more social player interaction, and that's also where the game really shines. We have a steady growth of solo players that are very interested in Online, and since we noticed that early on in the beginning in the game, we obviously, it was very clear that we knew that we had to add much more solo friendly content, and that's something we're adding on every single patch. And we see a lot of solo players, even though some of them are part of a guild, they play like 90% solo. So absolutely it is solo playable, but it will also, I would say, don't be afraid of socializing or interacting even though you play solo, because the game really shines when you start doing that. And of course, in some cases you need a strength in numbers when it comes to bosses and dungeons. Obviously some of those that offers a great challenge, you need a team, right? That's natural, but we have a lot of solo content and more coming in every single patch. And not only that, with the Epic, we're also getting a revamp of the whole task system that's going to give a real exciting different type of missions, task work for the different nations or even players as a solo player, but also team players. And more patches between now and full TC release. I can't say for sure. Like I said, we are planning to do a follow-up patch now shortly to do a few tweaks and fixes to follow up on this patch. And then in general, we don't plan to add something large. The full focus is TC. And also the more we have to add in between, the more we have to go in and split the different branches, update and go through codes. We make sure what we are delivering and not delivering for this one and what we deliver for TC. So it's a little bit interrupting. But obviously it depends on if everything goes as planned and that we're not too far off for TC, the first test phase. We should avoid doing something major there in between. Obviously, if the schedule changes a little bit, we may have to revisit that change. These towers will get the PvP starred. Something to do. Oh, indeed. This is an infinite loop for any players that want player conflicts, power, fight for power, TC. Absolutely. I think they will spice things up greatly and give this infinite interesting loop. Because, I mean, we see a lot of PvP guilds. They want to, taunt each other together, fair fights, and then sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. And they roam around to find a fight, right? Obviously now, all of those groups going to have a instant profit from going for these ones. So obviously those will be a good addition for those groups that want to participate in those conflicts. I can't say still, I'm afraid, for when TC is estimated at this point. We are gonna update our website and do an announcement soon where we say this is the lineup for the test, this is how it's gonna work, and this is the date we're aiming for. But obviously we're gonna be a bit more close when we have set that in stone, because there are several steps we need to do now. Also arranging our server setups, having a new public test build branch, getting new hardware and going through everything. So we're gonna make an announcement and update you guys when that is planned for, so you can start planning ahead a little bit. Is that a change that could happen this summer? Yes, absolutely. Currently the game is not solo playable. Leaving the cities is almost guaranteed to end in getting ganked. You can't even do the dungeons. All you can do is graveyard mining and fishing. Mooley, most people wouldn't agree, especially the solo players. The thing is, if you go out the main road and run into a board PvP group, then yes, there's a pretty good chance that they gank you. Many may not do it. Many may RP with you. It all depends on where and who you run into. If you learn to avoid these main ganking areas where the main group hangs around that do these types of things, you're gonna cut that ganking down to 1/100th instantly, all right? Instantly. Depending on where you are in the world, again, changes it instantly. So the thing is, you have to consider the whole thing, adapt to the situation, and find a way forward. And that's a big step compared to coming from games like World of Warcraft, because in World of Warcraft you follow a question mark, right? They don't allow you to start thinking like that, being free, understanding how do I avoid a circle, how do I avoid a group, how do I avoid this main traffic where random people go. There's so many options, and that's one of the reasons the world is large. If it was very small, then you would not have those options, because you would be forced to run through those gankers non-stop. So that's again an important component why the world is pretty large, and we have different areas and biomes and things to go for. But with that said, yes, there are some issues when it comes to the overall world nation balance, security and zones, and that's gonna quite heavily change with the Epic Game patch as well, because there's no doubt we all can see some issues in that, the murder flagging system, the security system, and we all also can agree that when we are bored and someone are ganking some new players and they quit the game, no one benefit from that, not even the ones that loves the games that are bored and pushing them out of the game. And obviously that's on us, the developers. So it's our responsibility to make sure that we minimize that, we minimize griefing, and we give fun things for those that are bored to be busy doing other things rather than griefing noobs. And noobs should have plenty of options, tasks, and interesting components to get into the game, get going, adapt to the game, and then when they're ready, they can start engaging further and further out in the world where there will be more threats and dangers. So absolutely, there is work to be done in that area, and that will happen for the Epic patch. I mean, also because the ones that don't want it to be safe, those are most often the pro PvPers, right? And when they're bored ganking noobs, they don't want boring, no challenges PvP near newbie zones, right? That's nothing. That's no good for no one, not even the PvPers that want some real challenges and fun fighting. So that's why it doesn't hurt them when we add that security for the new players that needs it and more casual players that needs it. And there's also less reward in those areas because it's less risk. And then when we go to no-go zones, you know, like null-sec zones, obviously that's the full risk reward, no man's land, and obviously that's where most PvPers may be hanging and, you know, focusing on these conflict areas instead of fighting for control rather than harassing noobs. I think we all fully agree on that one. So yeah, kill everyone, no mercy. Yeah, you can do that in no man's land, right? And don't consider anything if that's what you want to do. But that shouldn't be the go-to in every noob area where any clueless noob starts and trying to figure out the game and get ganked and think, what the hell is this? That's no fun. And obviously the one that ganked him don't benefit at all, other than a little laugh for a moment, but then he will have less real fights in the future because those players will not become players. So it's just bad. And obviously it's our responsibility as developers, and we'll make sure that we improve that area so everyone benefit over time. Right? I think that makes sense. Yeah, we are looking into... So we had so many mixed feedback and reaction over time, starting from Mortal 1 to Mortal 2 when it comes to the flagging system. There were a reason why we didn't have the exact same setup as Ultima Online as we did in Mortal 1, because there were so many complaints on a daily basis that, you know, getting red like that, you can't visit the towns, and why would they know when I'm killing them out in the wild? You know, logical complaints that didn't make sense, but obviously we had it as a baseline coming from Ultima Online. So we tried to refine it, and we also wanted to see if bounty hunting was a possibility, which we today see it is, and we want to promote bounty hunting to be more rewarding, interesting, with nice options and nice rewards. So without trying to remove bounty hunting or compete with that, we're looking to see if there's a way forward where if you have made certain kills reported in a nation, you may have a murder stat. You become a famous murderer, so that gets known and everyone can see that you are that murderer. We're still looking at the specific rules, if you still, what kind of bans you have for that nation that knows that you're a murderer, if you're not welcome or not, and that anyone that learns this knows that, okay, this is a murderer out in the wild also, and we can jump him without, you know, committing a crime if we are in any of those borders where there are some laws and nations. And then we may be able to specify a bounty hunter to a brown flagging rule instead. It's something that we're evaluating to see if we gain an improvement by moving forward in that step, like a hybrid Ultima Line, hybrid bounty hunting system. So yeah. Obviously now with fully TC, all the services coming along with TC, and no lawless zones, then obviously that's also going to change things, right? As an option. All right, so 1 minute and then I'm going to roll the giveaway. So if you just tune in, !MO2, and I'm going to roll it in just a moment. Lol, murders go brown. No, I mean bounty hunters could switch to a brown target, so you can still identify those next to red, that people know is bad, is a murder, right? Will there be a permission tab to allow players to decorate houses or stronghold other than the owner having to do everything? We want to utilize the rankings on a lot more things along with TC, so owners can set rankings and rules that allow some different specific options and services and better control for the players. So we are doing some work there as well. Alright guys, time for the giveaway. Let's roll it, guys. Let me find it. Look, I'm not orange anymore. It has to be light in the room when it gets dark. Right? When I start, I'm orange. Now, not so much. Let's see. I need to... Couldn't find it. I need to step over here first. One moment. So, giveaway time. Let's go. Oh. Okay. Good luck, everyone. Here we go. Wait, need to reset the old one. All right. Good luck. Deathbringer Panda. Congratulations, Deathbringer Panda. Are you he? Rigged? Oops. Deathbringer Panda. Deathbringer Panda. Let's go. Is he here? Did he write? Rigged. 100 rigged. Thank you for the bits. Does your donation not notify you anymore, Henrik? Or what, son? Your donation not notify? Did I miss it? No, I saw this one, the bits. Did you do a donation that... No, I haven't seen any... Have I missed it? You said he's here, alright. He is here indeed. So you're getting the last key for this batch, and then Steam need to give us some new ones, guys. So let's grab it. Let's grab it. Deathbringer Panda. Panda. So Deathbringer Panda. Panda. There's a song, a rap song with that, right? New player or old player, Deathbringer Panda? Pink as milk. Why the sad face? It's a mumble song. This is a mumble song, eh? That's a good song. But do you know which one I'm talking about? It's an old classic, a rap song. Panda. Ah, shit, I don't remember how it is, but I hear it a little bit in my head. Ranger boy. Hello. Thank you, love the game. Thank you very much. And you're welcome. And remembers the good old days with the Mullen Crab with Panda play. Indeed. 30A. Go Ninja, go Ninja. The Antvolt, eh? It's a nice song. And with night side clear work. So we're gonna be able to work with that in Unreal Engine 5 finally and finalize the numbers we're going for. I like you singing, take it easy. I'm not singing Arcane Trauma. I think you should put three things around that guild. Guilds are supposed to capture and hold for a certain amount of time, and if they are the guild holding it at the time to get a gold payout will help greatly with random PPers from camping useless areas will give peakers versus peakers. Six nuggets, there are gonna be plenty of interesting, engaging, rewarding PvP encounters, starting with supply towers, meteor drops, and other things over time. There are some really good stuff tied to that. Absolutely. I would not say it's a classic. All right, maybe not. And can you say it's on the way? I want a second card so I can try something new without ruining my current character. We're following the Steam's sales, and there may be one running pretty soon. Yes, we run it quite frequently. We use their recommendation sales. Yeah, the song is by Designer. That's probably correct, Guzil. That's probably correct. I recognize that. How do I control the new spells? What do you mean? You learn them and you cast them. You know? You know? Does armor affect body temperature right now? No. Not if you're not on fire. Put on fire by debuff and stuff, you know. Heavy effect. The natural weather system can't go to the extremes that it's affecting you negatively at this point. Sounds like the I like candy wrapper from Aqua Teen. No, the video I sent you of you singing Take It Easy. Ah, that one Arcane Trauma. I see what you mean. I see what you mean. That what's with the squint? The eye squint. But yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty good. So I actually had a little poll about the handle hits. We're also improving some of the process, how we are number reviewing before going live with some things. We're improving everything when it comes to that to secure our patches. We are looking into those numbers. I made a little vote, and 60% thought we should pull it down a notch. It was too much. So we're following up on some of those things. Isn't the song of the guy... What? No clue what you're talking about. Oh, these are not spells that you can control with mouse. Do you mean the 20 new spells we added in this patch, the elemental spells? So 10 of them control weather in different forms, and 10 of them have quite an impact when it comes to sieging, because they affect some of the buildings and also affect sieging weaponry. And obviously also some of them affect players and AI, right? And you cast them the same rules. It's still elementalism magic school, so it's the same rules as those current ones. The only thing that would top off this patch is a sexy sale. I don't remember exactly when the sales are, as I mentioned. And some of those dates are classified until Steam announced them. But like I said, we usually follow their standard dates because there are some rules involved in how often and when you can have Steam sales, right? So we pretty much follow the standard setup. And there may be one soon, if I'm not mistaken. I have to check it up. Yeah. So what I also said is that obviously we know that everyone can't cover the streams, and obviously I'm not using these streams to make direct changes or stuff like that. You know, we use this as a nice opportunity to pass information, discuss things, and educate around some things and so on. But what I said also is that so we're getting closer to finally deploying the public test server, right? And we're going to absolutely use the test server to also fine tune and test stuff like that, new components, new abilities, to try to get them in a solid state, because our method have been, at least try to make it so in every step, is that we deliver something that is slightly underpowered in most cases rather than overpowered, and then slowly over time, if we see that yes indeed they are not overpowered, sometimes they have been, but when we see no one is using them because they are waste, then we can carefully adjust them and move them up, like we did with the proposal spells in this patch. We saw that they're really cool. They were designed to be the main spells that people asked for a long time, but no one used them because they're too crappy, right? So we buffed them quite a bit this patch. Hopefully there will be some room to actually use them in specific circumstances, and that's something we're following up on. Steam Summer Sale is in 49 days, so yeah, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be in the summer Steam sale, and then there are those smaller normal sales every now and then, right? But yeah, we are gonna hit the Steam Summer Sale. Again, we need to revisit the Diva system sometime after Epic Game release when it comes to that whole discussion when it comes to one or assembling character on account. We can't distract ourselves on those areas now when we want to deliver TC as absolutely best as possible. We all know how sensitive TC, and TC can bring a lot of long-term infinite loop gameplay, and we want to get it right. We want to have it fun. So we need to focus on that. Thievery will be after Epic also, or around there. We're gonna have maxed out character on PTS. We plan to make a clone of the live server currently, so everyone can go back to their character and continue as you are, because there are gonna be several steps we want to test. We also want to test one of the network capacity thing that we have to disable today because of some instability. And obviously we can't sit and trial and error that in a live environment. So we're going to put that on the test server as well. So we do want you to do all kind of things, not only go to a siege or build TC. So hopefully you can help us doing all the generic things also, like, trading, broker, taming, use skills, everything, right? So you can hopefully do some real game sessions so we get very accurate testing data and make sure that we have everything up and running, including the network optimization and expansion. So when we do the switch, we know it's stable, it's functional, and we can cover a huge amount of players enjoying TC going live. I can cast 3 propulsion spells. It's 30% of each hit point, and then Veteran Bandit comes, and I can't use magic anymore. So that's with the updated version, improved, and you have concentration skill, and you start shooting them on far great distance. Obviously, the Veteran Bandit is a little bit tougher. But like I said, we are gathering information to see if we can get some use of those spells. I'll test the shit out of it for you. Awesome, Mad Kings. We appreciate it. Because that's been one of our worries, right? If people don't want to waste too much time on a test server, because obviously that's not going to be persistent. We hope that we're going to get a good flow of stress testing there as well, so we can secure the live TC patch. When I join my guild, I have to be ungilded from now. Yoshikami. TC coming out this week? No, not yet. We will announce when we had a public test server set up and planning to start that phase. Hello, Henrik. Nice patch. Thank you. Can you explain these shallow graves I read about? Are they random spawns? I can't explain too much other than that we've added a few different spawners, dynamic ones that are spread out in the world. Different forms, both mobs, graves, shipwrecks. And that's just the beginning of things, right? Again, we are expanding that greatly on upcoming patches as well to really utilize every single system we have built in a really good way. So you can expect a lot more of that in refined ways over time, and a shitload of them for Epic Game release. So it's going to be exciting and interesting to explore the world once again, even for you long-term veterans. You will be surprised with the new content popping up, surprising you in different forms. From casual easily to very dangerous. Do you think Unreal 5 will improve performance in some areas or will be tougher on some PCs? So what we're doing now as well is we're going through the entire world and optimizing every single area and city to work really good with Unreal 5, but also work very good. So we're going to add it with an option to enable things like lumens on and off. And if you would run Mortal Online without lumens enabled, you can actually expect a performance gain in general throughout the world, as long as we have the time to cover all the areas that we have plans for so far. So the main things you would notice then is less stuttering when you do level streaming, which is a big thing because that's very annoying for everyone. And that's when you run around and you have this line where you get a heavy stutter or even a small pause on your computer, and then bam, everyone wakes up again. And when you see someone else passing that level in front of you, you see him freeze and then you speed up, right? That's a classic level streaming area. And that is because it's too heavy for your CPU to load and it stalls your game for that brief moment. So that's what we're improving in Unreal Engine 5 and making sure that that is much improved and hopefully in most cases not noticeable anymore. So just traveling around in the world, you won't suffer that much from those hiccups. And then in general, the background FPS are most likely going to be improved as well. So when you visit the cities, you're going to have a better performance, better FPS. So obviously large-scale battle is going to be even better for you. And then if you enable lumens, that's going to be 100% dependent on your hardware. If you have next generation cards and you can crank it up, then sure, go for it. You will still see a performance hit, but the game will look like freaking real life. But obviously it comes at a cost, right? So that's going to be optional for you. So yeah, in general, you should see overall improved performance. And then depending on the hardware, you can go crazy with the next generation visuals as well. So that's what we're looking at currently. Track the playtime on test realm and offer the players titles on live, like the tester, master tester, and grandmaster tester to lure us in. Yeah, we would have to obviously make sure that people are not just standing AFK, right? There's always something to it, right? But we will have to see what we can do, right? Henrik, keep up the good work. What about the ecumenical shield spell and updates? So we're going to deliver elementalism first. We want to deliver that fully. We're going to be happy with that, right? And then we're going to step back on ecumenical, spiritism, and necromancy. There's a few spells and a few updates we want to do in those schools to improve those also, give them some love. And that's when hopefully are fully done and can move forward and leave the current magic schools and move forward with new schools. So that's the plan. Thank you, Robase. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy your next-gen card. Giving you some awesome FPS. Track playtime on the test room of indeed. Test capes. I think you are what I picture. God looks like. Do I look like God? The old man with long hair? Or how does God look like? I have no clue. Isn't he old and wise or something? Do I look old? You not imagine how much. Thanks. Awesome, Robase. Awesome. I think when are you going to release that Henrik shots calendar for MO fundraising? I'm not sure if that's gonna fund a lot of racing. See that? Now I did it. Fund a lot of racing. Raise a lot of funding. That's my cue when my brain is done for the day. My god looks like a lean Thursar. Hope you're testing the game with AMD GPUs as well. Need that FSR before Lumens, please. Yeah, the good news is that it looks like they finally released a plugin that are on the same level as the DLSS plugin. So it should be, hopefully, not too complicated to put them in on test and then make use of them. So when we do that step, we are trying to cover both of them. And if they don't fuck up their plugins in some way, giving us problems or instability, we're gonna offer them. If they include problems or instability, then obviously we have to disable them until they have covered it, because we won't spend the development time on their end. Hopefully they will be able to do that and make sure they are stable for us to use them. But I think they will obviously do a good job in delivering those plugins stable for the latest build we're gonna run on. What's your favorite races? It's a tough one. So obviously we try to create every clade that has something really cool, inspiring added to them, both visually and lore-wise and clade-wise, right? And I'm quite happy with how all that turned out, because obviously we see a really good spread of the players, the community are using the different clades, and they have their own favorite ones, right? And that's something that makes us really happy, because that was a problem in the first game, also heavily due to balance factors. Everyone was like 2 different builds, 2-3 clade options, and that's it. And that was quite sad, obviously, and didn't make use of all our hard work. So I'm much happy with the current usage, that there are good use for all clades currently. They all look awesome, I think. And they have some cool stuff that want me go for any single of them. Every clade has something that make me want to go for them. And that's been the goal, right? And obviously that also shows in the community that people have their own different favorite setups, right? And enjoy them. So I couldn't pick one over another one. Obviously, I always liked the Thursar because it's a cool, unique design. It's equivalent to an orc, right? But we didn't want to go that classical route and make our orc like every other fantasy game. So we made the Thursars, and I'm quite happy how they turn out. It's like our take on the orcs, and it looks very unique and it looks cool. I think it's badass. So obviously I like that we got made those very unique and cool, and it seems like a lot of people enjoy them as well. We rather have an orc, to be honest. I don't agree. I wouldn't have the classic WoW orc with these tooth, I prefer the realistic approach we have. I prefer the lore behind them, real believable lore that Matt spent a lot of time into. And the realism and detail level of them is a whole next level compared to most other games. Obviously, I'm quite biased, obviously. But no, we were quite happy to actually not copy the classic orc that so many other games does. It's much cooler to be unique, I think. But of course, people have different opinions, right? But I think we offer many of them, so there should be something for anyone. I plan to add new races in the future. So I had this discussion with Mats every now and then over the years that there are some secrets behind it and there's some room for it. That's all I can say at this point. Obviously, it's something that would happen later when we step into those boundaries again, because we have a lot to deliver before we go into those areas. So, yeah, it's a possibility, is all I can say. And there's some cool thoughts and plans that we discussed, that we said that's going to be interesting in the future. So obviously, sooner or later, we may go to that step again, revisit. I keep seeing the top branches of trees flickering even in the Unreal 5 trailer with the dragon. Why is that so hard to fix? It seems to depend on contrast with the sky. Without seeing exactly what you're referring to, I mean, yes, there are obviously a few things that we have in Unreal 4 that also is still in Unreal 5. It's huge areas are rebuilt and improved and changed, but it's still the core in the background, right? So it depends what it is. But yeah, there's different things that could cause that. I want to be a rat race. Mad King. Army is my favorite so far. I love smoking a pipe with a huge tower shield on my back. Yep, the Armies are cool. They're cool. The stone race. Tough mofos, right? Would at least like to have a Thursa that doesn't have the mud look. That's something you can choose, right? So the pigments, again, that's in the lore. You can read about what it is and how, and that's the cool part. And you can choose the classic or different types of pigments or the tattoo versions of those pigments. And as I said before, there will be more options over time to customize your characters. We just want to tie them to the professions. So it makes sense to invest in some of those professions like tattoo artist, barber hairstyles, and find them over time from rare to common. That will give you more cool ways to make your look more unique. You guys ever consider community-made art assets? Or do you already look at things like that? So we have got those requests in the past, also from the first game. And in a few cases, it's worked a little bit. And in a few cases, a little bit challenging and tricky. Because there's a few steps that it needs to go through. First of all, obviously, we need to cover the legal side of things so we don't get in a bad position, right? And then it needs to go through our pipeline of structure setup, how are our models built to be fully proper supported by the game, how they're, if it's like gear, how it's very specific. We built a one of a kind, and that's also, in the past when we talked with Epic Games, many MMO developers in the world, one of the biggest challenges is to create the character system and armor or gear system, because everyone knows there's going to be a shitload of those over time, right? And if you do that poorly, you risk the entire project, because if you step the wrong direction there, you're effed in a few years in the future and locked or stuck. So we invested a lot of time in making the best possible character and gear system in the world, and we want to offer the best performance ever. And so far we're pushing those boundaries. I've yet to see another MMO with the same level of details and real-time traces and hitboxes and unique gear pieces that actually matters if you have a piece on your arm or not, all in real time and on this level. And the performance is actually surprisingly good. I'm sure many of you guys have seen those big battles. That was just insane. 500 people on the screen, and it was obviously low FPS, but it worked. So the core of that system is very solid. But yeah, back to that question. That means it needs to follow this pipeline and structure. So if you're not fully involved and get into that pipeline, if you create something on your own and send it over to us, it still need to go through a lot of work from our artists to fit that system. if you understand what I mean. So that's some of the challenges, right? There are some areas where it could work much better. You know, it's not a very specific system. There's no extreme rules tied to it, like a prop, you know, for instance, like a tree. That's why we can buy trees from Epic Game Market. It doesn't matter. It just works. Obviously, we still need to go through them, optimize them, make sure they look good. So there's still work. We can't just buy something and put it into the game. But it saves a lot of time to have the, you know, a good looking rock or tree. But obviously, when we're making our statues and furnace and stuff like that are mortal unique, again, it needs to go through a specific pipeline. But yeah, with that long said, you know, there could be possibilities. So we are always open for people applying or contacting us or sending portfolios or stuff like that, and we can take a look, you know. How many people were at the middle fight last weekend? Do you know by any chance? No, I didn't catch that in real time. I hear every now and then because people reach out when there's some big battles going on, and sometimes I catch them, sometimes I don't. So I'm not sure how many we got that. Obviously, I can go back in the logs to see how many players there were in that area to take a look. But I think our records have been close to 500 in the biggest battles, and then I mean in one location, which is quite crazy, right? I think it was the Acts versus Coalition, right? That was crazy. Really cool to see. Obviously a great test for large scale battles, and everyone could see that the servers handled it without any effort. It just worked perfect. Obviously everyone got affected by a big hit on the FPS, because what game with high graphical visuals and quite complicated combat system can you run with perfect FPS with even 300 players on the screen? I don't know a single game. So again, I'm quite happy with the baseline, and the cool thing is that we're actually building on a system that will improve this even further. So those great battles will be more enjoyable with a better FPS down the road as well. So that's going to be really epic. I think we crushed the world record by far. We already have it pretty much, I'm quite certain, when it comes to, again, comparing the right level of components. So I'm very proud of what the team managed to put together. Give special weapon moves, please. Yeah, we're gonna add that after Epic for sure. Ray tracing battle too? Yes. We're gonna add a few options for those that have the hardware to handle it, right? It will cost a lot depending on what option and your hardware, like I said. So, in many cases or combat, you know, people may disable some of those options. But obviously, just enjoying the game, exploring, being in a dungeon, or having a guild meeting, or enjoying a city, obviously that will look just astonishing with everything enabled eventually. Honestly, Model 2 needs some sort of free try so that people can try and test the base of the game and decide to buy it. Winter Walk, yeah, so what we plan to do is sometime after Epic Game release we have set up a few specific tasks for Haven that we're gonna work on. So we're gonna improve Haven, make it more enjoyable, and expand and adventure on Haven a little bit. And then we're gonna add a few caps on your skill progression, claim progression. And then the plan is to make Haven free to play. So that's exactly what's it going to be, right? So anyone can eventually join in for free, try it out, and hopefully learn the game. And if they like what they're getting, they can commit by going into Midland and enjoy fully by committing with payment also. So that is the plan, actually. No Haven free to play, please. What, you don't like that Haven can be a free to play? I think it's a very good way to marketing the game and get awareness. And a lot of people are hesitant, right? Because, you know, they hear that mixed reviews, especially from those that are in the beginning, that a lot of those things that are fixed, but they don't know it's fixed. They may not be sure what kind of game it is. They hear it's quite hardcore. So they may hesitant and not buy the game. And that could become a long-term player that really enjoy it and, you know, contribute in the game world. So one effective way is obviously to let them try it on Haven, where things are isolated and separate from the game world, so it doesn't affect you and the economy and anything else. And they can try the game there and hopefully get into the game and become a player, right? Then they get blindsided whenever they leave Haven. No, absolutely not, demigod. I mean, Haven will only give them a little taste of the whole world and, you know, component. They can't tie into every single magic school or all the skills or dungeons. Obviously, it's just a little taste. So obviously, it's just like a few percentage of what the game has to offer. But obviously, we want to make sure that that few percentage is accessible in a way so it's easy to learn and enjoyable quickly. And then the gap when they go to Milan that we also identified is that we can't just let them go when they enter Milan, because many are clueless. They go out in the world and say, oh my God, I thought you could do a lot of things in Model 9. And I just go out and everything is empty. Obviously, they don't see what the game has to offer. They don't know this is not World of Warcraft that holds your hand or points you in a direction. We have identified this to be an issue, and obviously we can't blame the players from not using their brain. Obviously, that's on us. So this is where we expand our task system that will absolutely introduce them to the game in Milan as well in a very good way without handing their hold completely. Give them options, give them education and tasks to do. And while they do that, they engage with players, they learn, they expand, and hopefully get to go on their own, right? So those systems are very important and planned for Epic Game release. Maybe add a PvP arena in Haven. Yeah, maybe we need to add something like that as well to give them some practice test session there as well. Have 1 hour cap. Maybe on free to play will be balanced, or open up the test server. I punish the playing subscribers. What do you mean punish the paying subscribers? That's exactly what we don't do if we put them on the isolated Haven Islands away from the real players, right? They just get a small taste, a few percentage of what you are experiencing, so they can take their time, get to know the game, and then hopefully actually become a real players that we all will benefit from in Mortal 9, right? Because pigs and wolves are rideable, does that mean Haven has mounts now? Yes. So again, a small taste. They can't use the most effective mounts, which is horses, but they can start out on a little piggy and get a little feel of that. And then eventually, if they want to, wolf, that is a little bit more effective, right? And then, of course, on Milan, they get the real deal, the most effective mount, that is horses, right? Might as well just put horses there. I mean, this is the thing. Are we missing the point here? So again, we want to give the new players a small taste of things, right? Like a demo, free to play. You know, that's how we can give a taste to the new players that are very hesitant or clueless. What the hell is this? And the more people that play the game over a certain amount of hours, or even join a group, there's a change from 5% becoming a player to not 80% becoming a player if they join a freaking cool group of players that take them in, and bam, we have a long-term player. Such a huge difference. That's why we're adding these tools for the Epic Game release, so we can grow much more efficiently. Now we are growing slowly over time. A lot of people waiting for TC, and a lot of new players are also being pushed out. We can't allow that to happen, right? We need to make sure that all new players get at least a fair chance before they can decide.
Oh my God, another one. Another one.
Every new player should get 1 free interaction with Znosh, Stink Eye. That will hook them. Thumberry, that is absolutely true. We need more player like that, because that kind of interaction seals the deal. Like I said, it depends so heavily on what player or group they run into. That outcome can actually instantly change if it's gonna become a long-term player or quit the game. And it's so dependent on the player interaction that you give them. Obviously, that's scary for us to let you have that in your hand, because many of you may be bored or just want a PvP, right? And that's what you want to do. Then obviously we can't just push away those players that run into you, right? So we need to take that responsibility and fix it. And that's what we're doing with Epic Game, the Epic Game patch. Steam guy probably finds dude in game. I fully agree. Every time I see him on a stream or run into him in a game, I have a blast. And I think, holy shit, everyone needs to experience this every now and then, especially online, because that's make you want to play more. You wanna experience that more and more. So absolutely, I agree. Just add a guild recruitment board right where you spawn for each town from heaven. Panda, exactly what we have on our list. Exactly that feature. So yes, we're gonna add a board with a very powerful tool where players can recruit new players, and new players that are clueless looking for someone can find groups of players in guilds. Absolutely. So that's actually one of the features for Epic Game also. So you see, these features are very important, and they will 100% help new player experience to enjoy the game, get into the game, and hopefully we will see that as a big difference as well. I mean, today we can see a very mixed reaction from new players, and it depends so heavily on where they start and who they run into, and if they can go on their own. And that's three big components that determines their future for them as a player or not, right? I met Taz first. Dirty, eh? So you're one of the few one then that could handle that rough first experience. Majority of new players quit the game when they run into Taz, sadly. You're one of the tough ones that could handle that. Or you had that experience from the past that made you see past that issue, right? But a new player or someone coming from WoW, it's too big of a change. They can't handle it. But if they get slowly past that threshold and understand it's not a grind to get your gear, you need to learn and adapt and practice and focus on what you find enjoyable. Bam, they become a long-term player, even though they are WoW fans, believe it or not. So it's a very important component that we have mapped out, identified, and we know we absolutely need to deliver those components for the Epic Game patch, and that will greatly help us to grow the game. And I gotta keep murdering the noobs, try and stop me. Nuggets, I'm gonna murder you. Next time I see you in the game, bam, I'm gonna grief you so bad, gank you so many times that you feel like a little pig. Try to stop me, okay? Try to stop me. Let's go. Henrik calling out G45. I talk to G45 a lot. He knows. And sometimes it's actually changing, and he actually help a lot of noobs. And when you do that, he actually make people join the game rather than quit the game. So he does both, I would say. He's still a cool guy, and like I said, shouldn't be his responsibility, right? If he want to play the game how he want to play it, still following the rules, obviously the call is in us, devs' hands, right? We need to make that call, right? So obviously we can't blame any players depending on how they choose to play the game, right? I can go and gank Nuggets. I can go gank him and steal his stuff and play around and taunt him a little bit within the game rules, right? Make him rage quit for the day and come back in 2 days. I can do that. We all know what that means, and we can handle it. But a new player coming from the casual MMOs or the common MMOs, they're in for a shock, and we want to reduce that shock so they enjoy the game. And then we can kill them when they leave the safety areas and they are already prepared to get attacked and can take that kill. And then maybe one day they fight back and win the battle and get hooked for life. Training, Practice makes perfect. As a new player, I find it frustrating to see the person who killed me 5 minutes ago standing next to me at the bank. Damn wick. Yes, that is a bad experience. I fully agree, and you're not the first person commenting on that. And that's something we want to change for the Epic Game Zone rules update. So those murders won't be there next to you in the bank. So we're working on that part. Price. I'm certainly inconvenienced as a murderer. I pay my price. But you do your personal runs and stand next to your victims in a bank, eh? If you commit to the murder path, there will be a change down the road, and obviously you will then also have the options to construct your murderous city eventually out in a no man's land and step away from the noobs, because that doesn't interest you anymore, right? Tat shouldn't be running around with noobs and griefing them. He should obviously running around and fighting for his life. Real challenge. Exciting things to watch. You know, something streamers want to watch. So he grows as a streamer, enjoyable at all sides. How he kill or get killed in a epic battle around these areas of dominance of control, right? We don't want to see him grief a noob. No one really enjoy that. Only psychopaths. Gonna ban murders from entering the town. What's the point in reputation? And so we're reworking the reputation system, as we said. There are gonna be different layers of access standings. The standing system gonna be much more refined. What kind of access you have or not. And if you're just a murder with 1,000 murders, that nation will eventually recognize you as a famous murderer, and they may not allow you anymore. So there will be steps. And along with that, you can already construct your own city out in no man's land. So it's a choice, right? You have to commit if you want to be able to travel in the nations, some of the nations, or none, or all, or be more of an outcast and rely on player cities in the world, right? As a new player, I will love being able to create 2 characters. Yeah, so that's also a very common discussion. So we redesigned the character system heavily to promote heavy character investment compared to the first game. People still want to try different styles. We fully understand that. So that's why we created or started, we designed a system we call a Diva system. And that's a system we're going to revisit sometime after Epic Game release. And that is the system where there are specific rules on possible 2 characters on an account where they share reputation, their siblings, certain things that still helps promoting the 1 character system or reputation system we built up. So, but we can't jump into that right now when we're fully occupied with TC and Epic. Hope it will allow us to move our banks first if you're going to change rules like that. Yeah, for sure. Obviously, we're gonna announce the reputation nation systems, murder bounty updates in good time, so players can adapt and learn or know the consequences. And I think people role-playing as peaceful peasants is psychotic. The dark side is important in this game and makes it all more fun and dangerous. I mean, I absolutely agree that we want and need all playstyles in Model 9. I said that many times. We want the PvPers, we want the crazy people, we want crafters, traders, we want Stinky Eye, we want Sick Eye, Snos, Sick Eye, Thornberry, the famous bard. We need Odin Seeds to see the people, you know. We need all styles, right? And traders, explorers, non-PvPers. We want them all because this is a true sandbox where we offer areas and social interaction where they all can trade and benefit in different ways, but also obviously prey in some ways on each other's. And it's all what this free open world is all about. The players will find their areas they enjoy, and they can try to participate in that as much as possible. But there will always be this risk of dangers the further out they go away from nations and security. That's a wild world, right? A lot of dangers and threats. But there should be a transition where the players can understand that and adapt to it a little bit and not just rage quit after one kill. Because then you as a PvP player will obviously have less encounters and you want more, right? Most PvP players I hear, they want more fights and more encounters, right? And the only way to get that is to get more players into the game, let more casual PvPers become better PvPers, become recruited, and then bam, we have a lot of fights on our table, right? So we need that progression to happen. Grow over time. We need all the areas. Do you agree? Everyone wants Stink Eye till they smell him. Yeah. I never forget when I hear his voice. I thought it was Arnold, and I turn around and he's standing on my face. And that Thursa head is the most amazing head I've seen ever as a Thursa. He nailed the design on that head. Amazing. I love it. Second pass, what in world are we talking about? Newbies, veterans, players in general are using town to trade and carry around tons of resources. What is a big source of income, and everyone is exploiting the fact that they are have an alt account which is blue, naked, riding on a horse, pretending to a new while carrying 2,000 gold worth of stuff. Henrik, just make it like it was in UO or in Modern 1. Make murder red, able to enter town but no guard protection for them, and they can't be attacked in town. So the first many years in Ultima Online, you couldn't enter a town as a red, and then in the later era they could enter and you could attack them at your own risk because they could attack back, but the guards didn't interfere, so that was a risk. And like I said before, we got a lot of complaints and issues with our clone of Ultima Online flagging system. A lot of people thought it was not logical and stupid, so we tried to find a better way, and we hope also that bounty would help limiting some of the madness. But so many are murders and enjoy bounting, so it becomes something on the side instead. So yeah, we're all looking at a proper penalty for those that are killing citizens of a nation and still want to benefit from that nation. We're looking into that refinement. And also because now they have real options to actually construct their own cities with their own laws and rules. So it's not like they only have no other options than live in Kranesh, right? Henrik, I will look like an option, so I will like an option so my murder count don't decrease. It's a badge of honor. Yeah, I mean, we can always tie titles, right, to specific numbers that they are reached once. That will obviously be there for that. In the PTR, can we redistribute skill points freely to testing? So obviously we're gonna try to speed up some things, but still we also want real tests, right? So some of the things we're looking at is making TC assets things cheaper, like half price, so we can still get our evaluation, but still get going more efficiently. So we're looking at what we can do to make the process more sufficient or efficient, I mean. If you do a big change to murder count system, we add something to lower or reset murder count. I mean, one of the reasons is that there should be a consequence to grieving a murder innocent, right? And those consequences should be severe and make you think about it, and it also removes some access for you in the game, like that nation that you are killing. But that doesn't mean you can't continue playing the game. You still have other nations or lawless cities, or your own constructed cities. You just have to adapt to that decision that you take if you want to become a enemy to a nation and just kill its citizens and commit to that beyond a small range. Then you have other options, right? To live as an outlaw or another nation, like I said, or construct your own city and live there if the citizens allows it, or obviously if you build it yourself and set your own rules. Spider-Man has been free for all. I'll be interested to see if this patch actually fixed it. What I mean, no transitioning murder count prevention bug at Atom Bomb. Is that what I mean? We haven't fully decided yet when it comes to the wall of shame because of many various reasons, and right now we are very focused on deliver a very solid, positive, fun, exciting TC patch, and there are pros and cons along with doing wall of shames and, you know, doing work on that and going through that. We have seen other companies doing it and not doing it, and also talked to some of them, and it's just not something you casually throw out there and think it works on its own, right? So it is a commitment that we need to think through, and if we decide one thing, we need to go by that 100%, right? And someone needs to maintain it. We are doing our work on our backend system, as that I mentioned last stream, a huge work with another team of developers that are helping us building a very specific backend system that also could tie into this to make that more efficient and automated in some ways. We have new ban systems also that people are not aware of because, yeah, some specific reasons, and some of them are not saying this obviously to other people. But we are banning specific users, and all of those users are not coming back, depending on reasons and situations. Some of them are coming back, and we are following this progression as well and working on expanding this also. As I said many times, cheating is something we take extremely seriously, and we always have to spend resources and time in the background in this area, sadly, but it's just a necessity. And in many cases, we can't openly speak about this or put it in the notes because some of it is info we don't want to be known for, obviously security reasons, to make it harder on those people. So, you know, we try to update that we absolutely ban and spot players on weekly, monthly basis, and we share some of those updates in general to show that obviously we're still working on that and still deal with such players, and making sure we improve it also moving forward when we are also planning to scale up. And shit, I see I hit my 3-hour mark. That's 1 hour overdue. I try to keep these streams on 2 hours, as you know. Also to make sure people don't get bored or we get to repetitive questions over time eventually. So I think this is time for me to actually call it a night. And we have a long day tomorrow as well when we go through a follow-up patch, hot fix with a few fixes and tweaks that we're planning to do soon also. And again, all seriousness, I admire your tenacity, and for that I will spare a few noobs for you. Keep it up. All right, thank you. Yeah, let's see. Shall we do a raid today, guys? Who do we have? Who do we have? Let's do a little quick poll. Let's do a quick poll. Shall we? There's quite a few streamers, quite a few. Let's pick a few ones then to vote for. So Trevor, sorry if already, but Kite Shields 8. We don't have an 8 yet for Kite Shields. We made a big and small, right? So it's a little bit easier to make the in-between. The same thing we did with the mountable creatures. So just over time, depending on prioritized order and our spear development manpower, we can slowly take some of those steps over time. And then we try to, again, pinpoint, ask the community, have an interaction. What areas of these areas do you want to see first? And we try to prioritize that and build a new roadmap moving forward. So you're going to engage in some of that prioritized order of things. All right. Thank you for the badge, especially for bandit spawners. All right, thank you, Mr. Leko. Glad you like them so far. That's just the beginning. We're gonna follow up on a lot of those over time, over upcoming patches. Make no mistake, it is the best sandbox MMORPG out there. HSLR TV, thank you very much. I fully agree. I am, after all, a very much sandbox MMORPG fan, and I play them all, and I'm hungry for them all. And there's absolutely nothing but Mortal Line 2. I 100% agree. And yeah, it's gonna explode with TC and Epic. It's gonna take over the world. All right, let me do the little poll so you can help me pick the raid today. That's helpful when my brain is out of juice. Let's do it. Raid time. So we have the Sensor Lord. I can only do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options. I don't know if I can do more, can I? I don't think so. So I just picked the 5 first streamers on my list. Hopefully those are good options. Let's see. 1 minute. Quick vote, guys. Quick vote. I just picked the 5 first ones. Keep up the good work, you 6 bastard. Thank you very much, Mr. Pinky. Prinkly. We need a kill tracker. We need a kill tracker. The writing patch is great stuff. Indeed, we have some important patch in this one that are also not gameplay related, but absolutely necessary for TC, so it's an important patch we get in place. Where's the poll? Where's the poll? Oh, is the poll not here, guys? How do? Yeah, the poll is running. Or is the poll not running, guys? My window is acting up a little bit. Did it work? Poll just got messed up. What's going on? Why can't I even see the poll myself? Poll is active. Poll just got messed up. We are one. Do you see the poll, or was it broken? What happened, guys? I always feel like a streamer noob. Jonah won. See poll after refreshing. So usually I can see the poll here over my chat, but now it's not there. Why? And also some people said that you don't see the poll being active. I don't see the poll either. So what am I doing wrong? Why don't everyone see the poll? I couldn't see the votes. Manage poll. How the hell? do I do this? Looks like there's an active poll, but I can't do anything. What the hell is going on? Let me refresh the window. And we will see. Manage poll. Okay, now I can click it. Wait. Well, let's try it again. Revote, guys. All right. Starting poll. Can you see it now, guys? Should be running now. Can you see it? Does it work? When rise animation happens, please have playable rises. It would be a huge lost opportunity to miss. We have to look into those options later. No. Works for me. Why does it work for someone and not everyone? What the hell is going on? Does anyone know how to access the vote poll for everyone? Bio and Barbarian cannot access it. But it seems it works for most, right? People trolling you. Come on, man. Am I being trolled? Is that it? Refresh if you can't see it. Yeah, try refresh. It's like half time left, so there's still some time. Probably Twitch add-ons are screwing with it for some people. I'm a mobile, I voted. Right, there's a little moment left. Works for it now. Just refresh. Okay, so refresh quickly. It's like 15 seconds left. Refresh and vote, and we should be having it. Saw a person riding a pig in graveyard on Haven. Have 4 account lol while I was living archery. Was a wholesome. The pig riders looks pretty awesome, right? They're not fast, but I get a little taste of horse riding. There's 3 seconds left. Boom. Okay, so Jonah. Jonah it is. Hopefully he don't have too many trolls trolling me so I can't be in the freaking stream, because I want to be able to enjoy and be in people's stream, right? Hopefully he will at least keep his viewers under control as human beings, at least. Let's see if it works today, you know. You never know. He's in control, hopefully. Let's do the raid then, guys. You voted. Raid channel. Alright, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in today's stream, and thank you for feedback on towers and so on. We're gonna see if we can open up a little thread about it so we can gather all your awesome suggestions and see what could be a good fit that the community agrees on and could be added also on those towers. Thank you very much for tonight, and have a good night, and I will see you soon again. Let's do the raid then here. Let's say hello to Jonah. All right. Have a wonderful evening. And good night. Bye-bye. See you soon.